Now they come for the privilege and prestige of a British university experience, promised an education at world-class institutions, and they pay a hefty price.
What's your situation? Where are you speaking to us from at the moment?
It's a university gym, but not as we know it. Dystopian, deserted. It's Warwick, but it could be any UK campus.
The answer to this lies in the higher education reforms implemented in 2010.
We're going to Trafalgar Square, where we're going to see more uni students.
Although much of the media focused on the tripling of the fees, actually a number of very drastic policies were implemented. Up until 2010, university funding came largely from government subsidies. This meant that university had more or less secure incomes every year. However, in 2010, this funding was completely cut and channeled instead into a system totally relying on fees and loans. While the world was dealing with the incredible threat presented by COVID-19, students began to realize in December that the government plan for a staggered return to university in January 2021 was highly unrealistic.
Virus spreading more rapidly in London, the southeast and the east of England than would be expected, given the tough restrictions.
I have but one.
With students now being told to stay at home during a global pandemic, many are still paying for accommodations they're not allowed to return to. The remaining students who were still living inside halls had to face bad experiences with staff and inadequate services. Multiple students across the United Kingdom decided to take action against this unfair treatment and started preparing themselves for the biggest campaign and rent strike that has happened in the United Kingdom in the last 40 years. Students start creating online and through different social media content and memes in order to spread awareness against the situation they were living in. They managed to plan the biggest rent strike happened in the last 40 years, since the 80s. But what was the goal set by the organizers of this rent strike?
Our rent strike campaign is calling for a 40% reimbursement in accommodation fees. It's calling for no COVID job losses on campus. It's calling for all students to be able to cancel their contracts if they've been unable to use the accommodation, and it's calling for no repercussions for striking students. We can estimate that across the whole UK student population, almost 1 billion of rent has been spent on rooms that have been sitting empty so far this academic year. At the beginning of this academic year, students in some universities were forced to stay in their accommodations and weren't allowed to go outside and nor receive their deliveries.
Our floor is broken. Like, we're just like, we were just trying to go to bed, and here we go.
My name is Lot. I am a first year at the University of Manchester, and the reason that I am supporting the rent strike is because within the 3 weeks that we have been living there, we've had multiple break-ins, floodings, broken kitchen appliances, lack of hot water, pests, and this is across all of the university halls. This has been a consistent problem with. We've also had completely inadequate COVID support, and we just feel that the university has really failed us in this aspect. Many different mainstream media started to get interested into this story, and they start reporting different situations that were happening in halls across the UK.
Obviously, big news, a success for students. Are you pleased with the outcome?
I'm very pleased. It's the biggest rent strike win in UK history.
So even though it's not our full original demand, I'm very happy.
Students at the Manchester University have just achieved a colossal win for student rent strike. After tension, intimidation, a 30% reduction in rent has been agreed upon for each student, roughly amounting to £12 million in total.